So thank you, Sarah and Titia, for coming today. So that's not many of us, but it's the end of the semester. So I just wanted to cover two things today, very quickly, not to hold you too long. But before we do that, maybe I will ask you if you had some questions. So we might start there. And if you had some questions, we could answer them and then maybe progress to my agenda for today. So teacher, would you have some questions?
No, teacher, I don't have.
Yeah. We'll give people some time to come online. Do we have any questions of me or of each other? So this is the time when you can ask questions straight at the beginning of the session. How's everyone going with work? It's all good?
We are doing fine with the study. There's only I think there's only 3 more months to go. Then we'll graduate from the NIE, and we are waiting for that moment, you know, nervously, and I can't wait, you know, to graduate as soon as possible. I feel so stressful living in Phnom Penh. You know, we've been away from family for so long, and we're waiting for that moment to reunite with our family.
Tough, yes. So has any of you tried to correct your assignments, the assessment task 3, since we met last time? I might just ask people by name, okay? So Rotana Kim, do you want to say something? How are you doing?
I'm doing good, teacher.
So have you submitted your assessment task 3 to teacher Neri? Yeah, all good.
Already submitted.
Oh, good. Anyone has any questions? Sochita?
Yes, Doctor, I have no question for now.
All right. So it's been very quiet. I think it's a culture of classes in Cambodia for many reasons. So there. So David, do you have any questions? Arnie.
Thank you for remembering my name. I have no questions. But I feel a little bit emotional, you know, seeing your attached written message about our online meeting, that this is the final. So it means that we're not going to meet you anymore from next week on, is it?
Okay, so it depends on teacher Neri. I'm probably done with everything, but I will discuss it with teacher Neri. But if she decides that there is a need for me, then I will come online. But I think we finished. So what I wanted to say is that I think we've had enough of classes. The assessment task 3 is finished, or is you are about to submit. So we're there. What I wanted today is to talk about assessment task a little bit, some more, but also I will show you something. I asked teacher Neri to distribute to you a link with a questionnaire about the classes we had since November. And if you can respond to this questionnaire, this will help us because, as you know, these classes are part of a research project that my university is doing with the NIE. We will be able to reflect, we will be able to, your responses will help us to inform the NIE how to improve its program, and also will help us to see where to from here. So there's a few questions. I don't know how many questions I have here, but it's not long, just a few questions. One of the things I need to say to you that, and I have it at the front of the questionnaire, which is when we publish, and it's going to be a year or two before the results and the paper will be published because it takes a while for reviews to happen and all of that. So first of all your responses are confidential. They will all come to me. No, the teacher will not see them. So the teacher will not see that someone from this and this account on Gmail sent this specific questionnaire response, right? All your responses are coming to me. Teacher Neri will not see your emails. I will get all the responses. NIE will not see your responses. So that's the first thing. So no responses will be connected to a particular Gmail account, right? So Cambodia will not know from which Gmail account came a specific response, right? So it's confidential. I'm the only one that will receive your responses. However, obviously we will use your responses for publications, but all confidentiality is secured, which means in publications, we will not reveal the year of the project. We will not reveal the names of the participants, nothing. All we want is your views, and everything else will be confidential and will not be made public. So, so that, and I think that teacher Neri will also do a post-test. Remember how in the beginning you were all writing some little essay, like 500 words or something on a specific topic? Teacher Neri will do the same with you now at the end of this call, of our meetings, I think sometime next week or so. So that's another thing. She'll give you the topic right just before you, on the day of the test. So that test is also not assessed by NIE. So she will give you some requests. Can you write something on a specific topic? And you write 500 words. All the responses will come to confidential email account, and that will come to me. Teacher Neri will not see from whom and what and whatever, and they are not assessed. So that's only for my research purpose. So basically, we're just collecting some data after so many months of work together. I wanted to say it's been really a pleasure to work, guys, with you. I understand the culture of Cambodia. I understand the difficulties of Cambodia. I understand the challenge that this particular course presented, because it's different, it's new. The NIE made room for it, which is extremely important and nice, because it was not, this particular aspect of your preparation as a teacher was not really initially part of your teacher preparation, but we all felt that it would be useful to test it, whether it actually helps you in your teacher preparation. So, so that was the agenda of the project, and we will see how you felt about it, and we'll assess the results. So we're at the end of it. Yes, we are at the end of it. If teacher Neri ever feels that I need to come back, I will come back. But basically at this very moment, I think we're closing the project and you are now focusing more and more on finishing your courses and on graduation. From my perspective, so this is one thing I wanted to say today. I might still see whether you have any questions before I will progress to the second point I wanted to make today. So anyone else has any questions? This is a nice name here. Let me see whether I can pronounce it. Van Chensinit.
Yeah.
Would you have any questions for me in order to help you with your assessment task 3?
No question, teacher.
Okay, it's very quiet. So I will take you through are you happy now, guys, for me to take you through the point I wanted to make today? And then we might just...
Teacher, so your project deadline, what it mean? How many days that we have to do this?
Which this assessment task 3, I think is anytime now you will be submitting, right?
Yeah.
So you are submitting now within the next week or so, assessment task 3 to teacher Neri, and the questionnaire, if you can make it as soon as possible, if you can complete it as soon as possible, that would be good.
Yeah.
Teacher Neri will send you the link.
Yeah.
I might post it also on the Telegram.
Assignment 3, I have sent already, teacher.
Oh, good. Congratulations.
Yeah. So the questionnaire we can do after this meeting, right?
Yeah. But you do it personally. You don't do it I mean, I'm not seeing your responses. Like, you open the link and you do it at home or wherever you are.
Yeah.
Now, I've done a lot of research in Southeast Asia and also in Cambodia. And one of the things that is typical of Southeast Asia, but the responses are very short. I think if you want to say something, but you don't have English, just write in Khmer. We will have teacher Neri or whoever translate it. So, or I will use Google Translate. But if you want to say something, but you don't have enough English, you feel, just write it in Khmer. It will be fine. So that's the first thing. Or use Google Translate to help you with English. So that's another strategy. However, so my point is, I'd rather have a longer response. There are some questions that ask you to write a response. And if you don't mind writing a little bit more, ask yourself what is important for this question. And maybe you'll be able to actually write a little bit more than just, oh, I hated it, or I have a headache now, like a bit sort of longer.
Oh, really? What's wrong?
No, I don't have a headache. I'm saying it's just sometimes people, when I say, could you please describe your views, people write,
I thought you had a headache.
No. Sometimes when there's a question in a questionnaire saying, could you please describe your experience? And people say, well, it was all good. Now, it's obviously telling me something when someone writes like this. What it's telling me is that people do not have criteria for assessing their own experience. Because you can say it was all good, but when you have criteria for assessing your experience, then you can reflect on what you initially feel. Maybe it wasn't that good. What are the criteria that I'm assessing against? Right? So then you read a little bit. So these are the things that were important for me. In this regard, I feel that I achieved this, I achieved this, I did not achieve this, I did not achieve that. Right? So once you have criteria, you can actually write, you can reflect on your experience. So that's very different than to say, oh, I enjoyed it a lot, it was good. Right? That's a 6-year-old. A 6-year-old writes like this. That's why we like 6-year-olds, because they're funny. Because they say, oh, I'm happy. Right, but an adult has criteria and uses the criteria to reflect on their experience. So that would be helpful. I think it's not happening much in Southeast Asian questionnaires. People don't think this way. So I am suggesting for you to actually learn how to respond to questionnaires. So when you respond, ask yourself, am I writing like a 6-year-old, or am I writing like a future teacher? Right? Take on the role of a future teacher and then respond. So you write like an adult, which is what will help me to get more information from you. So that's the thing. So thank you so much for coming today. I wanted to say something that is typical of many people, how they write, how they think, how they construct their talk. So the job in assessment task 3 was to create a presentation, right? Create a text that we will use for a presentation in public. So we talked last week, and I wanted to just reiterate some points I made last week, because they are important. They are important for you when you talk to people. They will be also important for you when you write your research one day, or when you think about your teaching experiences. So one of our students, so typically what I was saying last week was that when it came to when we were reading your presentation text, they weren't bad, but one thing that was missing was what I call the dialogue stage, which is the criteria that sorry, there's some noise here. Someone is playing music in the apartments. I can't believe people. So basically, setting the focus was very nice. You know, for example, with the computers are everywhere. Computers are very helpful. The problem that was set up by a student was, well, what about computers in education? And I think it's great. It's a good thing. What about computers in education? But the next thing was computers do this, computers do this, computers do this. What was missing here is a stage where a presenter should say, these things are important in education, and I will discuss computers in education from the perspectives of these things. Right? So I would say, what about, so computers are everywhere. Computers are ubiquitous today. However, the problem setting, what's the role of, how can computers help students? Can they? Dialogue now, which is the framing of the problem, which is the perspectives on the problem. today in education, this and this and this is valued. So I will talk to you about the value of computers in education from the perspective of these policy values or policy points. So policies want our students to be like this, to be like that, or to learn this, or to learn that, right? So today I will talk to you about this, this, and that. This is important because you cannot talk about everything because you're not God. I don't know whether God can talk about everything, but when we can. So the dialogue, the dialogue stage is identifying the sources that make your talk important. So as an educator, those sources are policies. And then you pick aspects from those policies that you will touch on or discuss. So you're not talking about computers in education, you're talking about computers in education as facilitators or as relevant to those points from policies. And then you say, and today I'll talk to you about this, this, and that. Now people are prepared, right? They know what to expect from you and they know where these things come from. Oh, you know, policies. Oh, policies are saying that, oh, really? And then you'll say, these are the values identified in policies. So I will talk to you today about computers in education as relevant to those points in policies. I will discuss this, this, and that. Now, the scene is prepared, and now you can do your talk. So in regard to differentiation, or in regard to supporting participatory learning, in regard to supporting whatever community values, community connectedness, or whatever, this is what computers can do, and this is how this can be assisted in an English class. Now, my experiences in school are showing that maybe this is not being done. That's the negative, right? So positive is policies. This is how it can be done. My experiences in schools are telling me that I'm not seeing it done. So that's the negative, but still on the aspect of community connectedness. I don't know what it's called in the national curriculum, I forgot, but something like, you know, being integrated in the community, something like that. So this is what makes you a coherent and interesting speaker. The worst thing to do is to act like a 6-year-old. And I will talk to you. I'm not saying that the person wrote it. I'm just making a comedy out of some. So I will talk to you about the textbook. Textbook is very important. Textbook has these chapters. Textbook has chapters on this and this. And in the first chapter, the textbook does. This just, it's not framed. There's no relevance here. Why are you talking about the textbook? Why are you talking about the things you are touching upon, right? People fall asleep. And so this is the thing that from the discussion last week, I wanted to point to, right? So, and it is important to have this dialogic stage whereby you come up with an issue. I'll talk to you about, say, computers in education, and I will talk to you from the perspective of the national language or national education policies. They stress this, this, and this. And today I will talk to you about computers as relevant to this and this and this point. This is beautiful framing because you've set up the focus, you've set up the problem, which is, you know, people talk about computers. So what about computers in education? Well, what is education? Well, education today is these values. So today I will talk to you about computers in education from the perspective of these values. And then you can move on to the development, which is this value computers can do this. This is what happens in schools. Next, this value from the curriculum, computers can do this and this and this. This is what's happening in school. And the next value, this is what the national policy says. This is what computers can do in regard to this value. And this is what's happening in schools. Resolution, what have I found out? Well, what I found out that we don't do what we should be doing, the moral, it's best to what? Understand policies and reflect systematically on those policies in order to support innovation and the policies themselves, right? We need to be systematic in our reflections so that we can support the policies and in this way progress innovation in schools. Now that's a lovely presentation. Now, I have to tell you that it took me 40 years to get there, right? A lot of research, a lot of my own practice, a lot of reflection so that I can teach it now. So I don't want you to feel that, you know, oh, it is so easy and you just haven't learned it or you have learned it. It's not easy. It took me a long time. Very long time. And I nowadays, when I present papers, I have to go back myself to my PowerPoints with a structure. I do, to my own structure. And then I do my presentation according to that structure that I've written myself, right? But my PowerPoints that I have on my computer serve me as a notebook. I go then, I go, oh, okay, focus. What's the focus? Oh, disturbance. What issue will I point to? Why this issue? In what light will I frame the issue? I have to myself look at my own notes to do good presentations because it's not simple. We all feel that we know how to do it. But very often our presentations are lengthy and not on the point or lose point because they lose systematicity, because they don't adhere to anything, whether Buddhist values or educational values or community values, nothing. We just say, oh, I'll talk to you about this, this, and that. Why those things? I don't know. Everybody talks about this. Sometimes when everybody talks about the same thing, maybe we're running in circles. And we're not able to break out of the circle. So that's pretty much what I wanted to point to. I'm recording these classes, so I send you the link. And sometimes, you know, maybe not today, maybe in 6 months' time, maybe in 1 or 2 years, you know, the website is there with all the links. I'll send on Telegram the link to our website again so that you have it. And, you know, the links are there, and maybe one day you will want to come back to these materials. So it's not easy, but I hope that our reflections on our writing, on our thinking about writing are helpful. Also, when you read people, you know, the things we are doing now, I hope they help you. They provide a framework for you to think about how other people write, because it's very easy to manipulate the reader. You just drag them and cover up the links that should have been made, but are not being made in order to manipulate you. So manipulation, how could it be with education? Computers are wonderful. In education, I'll talk to you about computers in education today. Computers can do so many things where teachers were so aware of it. And as a result, I really truly believe that we will be wonderful teachers because we know so much about the potential of computers. Nothing was said, and we just reinforce our own self-belief. Oh, I'm great. I know so much. I'm doing this so well. I will be doing it so well. There's nothing said. No content. But that's manipulation of the reader. Look, computers are great. Computers are wonderful in education. They can do so many things. And the awareness I have helps me to be such a fantastic teacher. Really? What's education? You never say what's education. If you discuss computers in education, you need to say something about education. And that's what the stage in the text sequence is, which I call dialogue, which is perspectives on the problem, which is, okay, computers in education. What's education? These are the policies. Which particular aspects of policies you will discuss in relation to computers? Say it. Prepare the audience. Prepare the audience for your talk. And that's the stage at which you do that. And this is where Steve Jobs says, I already defined computers. I already defined the phone. And then he says, I'll talk to you about this, this, and that. Because he knows that these three things have not been addressed by the phone before him. So he does it. If it's good for Steve Jobs, it's good for us too. Okay, so that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I'm happy for you to have a chat with me, the final chat about this, that, and whatever. And yeah. So would you like to make some points, or would you like to chat on about something?
So we are here just for chats.
I think I made a summarizing point that I really wanted for it to come across. And as I'm saying this, it's an easy structure that I teach, but thinking structurally, it's hard. So I don't expect anyone to today be another Steve Jobs. And Steve Jobs was a spectacular speaker, but he wasn't like that probably when he was 20. It takes time, reflection, and experience. So, but I wanted to make these points to help you grow and help you, maybe some of you with your assessment task 3, and maybe for future. Just wanted to point to that. So now I would like to open the stage for our final discussion on any issue you wish.
Well, I want to share my thoughts on the writing of many Cambodian students. It's hard sometimes to blame on them the way they write their article or their essay, because they lack their foundation from the very first year of their learning. Writing has not been taught very well by their teacher from the beginning. So when they reach this when they reach this level, we can see that they're writing, some of those, even me as well, are still limited. Yeah, so there's something to do with the teacher they learn with when they first started their language learning, and writing has always been forgotten in the classroom, because one reason is because the teacher, him or herself, have no foundation of teaching writing properly. So that's that make the students lack of the knowledge to write properly. And in my experience, when I was first learning a language, or Even at the university, the lecturers still didn't teach me properly how to write until I, read the writing myself, so that I start to know more about writing. Yeah, so you can't blame on the students. The teacher himself or herself is the one to be blamed. That's what I can tell you.
So it's difficult. It's difficult. Reading and writing is difficult. Obviously, attaching symbols, letters to sound is difficult, but we learn it by the age of 6 or 7. But then the next stage is to use literacy to participate in the society. And that's very different. It's very different than spelling. Spelling is, spell mama or spell daddy, but to participate in a society, you need to learn how to read, as people normally say, between the lines, or also how to speak in the way that people understand you, that you can actually convince people, that you can impact. So literacy for participation is hard. Literacy as spelling, the brain of a 6-year-old can learn. So that's not difficult. So the idea of this course was to make you a bit more aware of what's happening in the text and how we can support you, and you effectively one day as a teacher can support your students. And I truly hope that even if you learn this much, it's more than zero, way more than zero. So problems are everywhere, not just in Cambodia, and problems are, as you said, historically rooted, right? Whether because Cambodia was, Cambodian intellectual class was disseminated by Pol Pot and all of that. So all kinds of reasons we can point to. But I hope that this course might have just opened a little bit. I don't know, you will think about it yourselves, but even if it helped you a little bit to see something, that's pretty good, considering that we only had one semester together. I honestly think that classes like this should be parallel to all other classes. Like if you study for 1 year at NIE, a class like this should last a whole year and interact with other classes you have, so that literacy for participation can support your study of pedagogy, of how to write a thesis, all of that. So, but that's what I think. But anyway, it's a small step forward. And Dr. Vera was really helpful enabling this project. The principal of the director.
The project of thesis writing.
This one, Dr. Vera made room for this project between CDU, my university, and NIE. So before we came to teach you, well, before I came and Professor Lian came to teach you, we had discussions with Dr. Vera, and we decided that could be a good thing to start at the NIE and see how it works. So it's basically an experiment. So you're the first group.
Well, I think if you change the subject of your teaching to something else, like thesis writing, that would be great, because that's most students wants to know more, and I don't understand why at NAE they require us to do the research, write the research, but I dare to say that I'm afraid to say that they should have provided a proper course about thesis writing, because so far I have studied very little about thesis writing, and it looks like NIE expect the students so much that they can do this, that they can do that related to thesis writing. So they should provide more courses related to research. For example, how to conduct the qualitative study, quantitative study, and other additional courses that's related to this. But so far, I haven't learned much from the course. Well, actually, there is one course about accent research, but I can reflect that it's not enough. It's not enough. There should be more. There should be more than that, and it's if I mention this, it's a little bit sensitive, and it might affect NIE, which I don't want to point out too much. And yeah, but I just want to say that they should have provide more than we have at NIE right now for students to be better at writing the thesis.
Yes, it's very complicated because the course itself to graduate, it's only 1 year. In Australia, it's 2 years. So that's different, right? You only study for 1 year. You can only do this much in 1 year. Also, Cambodia doesn't have resources, right? So that's a problem too. Cambodia has very limited resources. So the course is short,
Yeah.
resources are thin. Another thing I think is that the concept of research is very interesting in education. I will tell you my view on it. My view is that, well, I've done research in Cambodia. My student, I had a doctoral student, she's finished, and her research has shown that teachers are very interested in doing research, very. But the researchers are not interested in working with teachers. You've got a divide where researchers are doing their own little thing and they don't care about the schools. I mean, they may say they care, but their work is not reflecting this. This is not to say that the researchers don't do research. They do, on their own little thing. So if someone said that researchers don't have money to do research, that's one thing. But they have enough money and time to do their own thing. But their own thing is not connected with the schools. So schools want to do research, they want to learn more. Researchers are doing their own thing. There's very little, if any. I haven't seen any, I think, research done by Cambodian scholars in schools. It's dangerous. So I think that what's really needed is that schools collaborate with researchers, not just researchers in Cambodia, but researchers in Australia and in Cambodia. So you have these teams, and then schools can be supported by those teams. So for example, with this project, what's happening is my university is funding it, is providing money, is paying for people's time. That means that the financial aspect of it is fixed. So we no longer care whether Cambodia has money for it or not, because Australia has paid for it. Right? That's why having international members or international team is important, because we provide the money, you provide information and context. These collaborations are good. So I think learning to do research, but in collaboration with researchers, it's the best thing for teachers. Yeah, sadly, not everything can be done in 1 year, but once you are a teacher and the connections with scholars are made possible, then you will learn more and more and more.
It's very very difficult to motivate the teachers in Cambodia to conduct the study, because they have
But they
no fun.
shouldn't. But they shouldn't.
Sorry?
They shouldn't. Teachers should
They-
not do research. Teacher can, you see, the teacher Neri is not doing research on this project. She's facilitating this project, but she's not doing research. I'm going to do research. I'm going to do all the nitty-gritty required. So you can have the same structure in school where the teacher is facilitating like teacher Neri, but she herself doesn't know the methodology that we're going to use, doesn't know all kinds of things. She doesn't have to. As she's learning with us, she will be learning more and more about research, and she will be, if she's interested, progressing down this path. But the teacher doesn't have to know how to do research. But projects between international and Cambodian scholars should be created to support teachers in schools, to support. And through this support, the teachers become more reflective, not necessarily doing research, but being part of the research team. It's a lot, it takes a lot of training to do research. That's why researchers, I mean, it takes a lot of time. It takes 10 to 20 years to become a good researcher. So let teachers teach, but let them be part of a reflection process, right? And you can be part of a reflection process when you collaborate with scholars and other teachers. You cannot be reflective on your own. On your own, you only go crazy. The worst punishment is to put people in isolation, right? So the worst jail is when you are in isolation. So when the teacher is on his or her own, can't be reflective that much, because you need someone to talk to. You need criteria. You need different experiences from different countries or from different schools. So what you need is a reflective environment. And that's the job of scholars like me, to connect with scholars in Phnom Penh at RUPP or wherever. So I'm connecting with the Cambodian scholars, with the NIE, with the teachers on the ground, to create a reflective team, a reflective environment to support teachers, not to give teachers another job.
Do you know teacher Hein Kim Kong? He's trying to initiate the research in Cambodia a lot, and he's doing a PhD. I'm not sure whether he's graduated.
What's his name? What's his name?
Hein Kim Kong.
Yeah, I know. I have him on Facebook. Yes.
Yeah,
he's finishing it in Brisbane, in Australia. Yes.
Okay. Have you ever talked to him?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. He tried to promote research in Cambodia a lot, and recently I've seen a lot of research he has done, and he posts on the website, and he tried to gather people to join his work, his project.
But you can
Um,
see when you look at the publications, they are mainly scholars writing about teaching at university. They're not doing research on how to support teachers in schools. I think the person that I collaborate with, and he's part of the team on this project, is, what's his name? The RUPP teacher, Narit.
Lokru
No, Narit.
Kirkchandrat.
Narit.
Kirkchandrat. Yeah, that's his
Right.
full name, Kirkchandrat. He's
Yeah.
my former lecturer.
He teaches teachers and he tries to do something with teachers, but you still need to do work in schools. So, you know, gradually we are pushing it this way together, and Dr. Narit is always collaborating with me. I have been very, very grateful. Mind you, all of this is supported by the Ministry of Education. So it's not that your Ministry of Education doesn't want to help. It's just that it is such a hard work.
I heard you mention that in Australia you would be funded by the university if you conduct the research. How much would you have you been paid for?
Okay, so I can't remember with this project, but I think we are paying participant. So we have a team of researchers on this project, and we were paying $80 per hour, no, per day, $80 per day.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why we need schools to connect with Phnom Penh Royal University. Then Royal University needs to connect with people like me, so I can provide the money, and consequently we can do research in schools.
Mm.
Because it's not possible for Cambodian people to do this work unpaid.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, they have no motivation to do it.
They have
And this
they have
happens in
little
Cambodia.
knowledge. They have no motivation or little or whatever. You know, it's just it's an extra job. So we will be trying to apply for more money to do follow-up. So what I'm planning to do is, once you all graduate, we will look for some of you in schools, and we will follow up with you and how much more support you require in school. So we will provide all the support, but we will also establish how much more you need and what needs to be done. So I plan to follow up with you guys. Whoever wants to participate with us, we will send you a little brief. And I want to ask for money from Australia to support you guys in schools and check how best to do it. So I want Australia to support Cambodian education in schools. Yes, absolutely. And that's what I want to do next. Because you will be in schools, you will meet your peer teachers, and you will need some help, and you will be going crazy. So now I can travel because Australia is open and so on. So I hope to go to Cambodia. I hope to go to see the Ministry of Education again and so on, and just do the work. And it's fun.
Where, which university do you teach?
Charles Darwin
In Australia. In Australia.
in Darwin. I'll type it in chat. In Darwin, Charles Darwin University.
Oh, okay.
So we are we are only about a couple of hours from Phnom Penh. So we're up north. All right. So Any more issues? Does anyone else want to raise something?
I guess you may have to call out their name.
No, I think we will just do it the Australian way. If you want to say something, please unmute your mic and say something, or you will miss the opportunity.
លោកគ្រូសុភាស្ងាត់ដល់ហើយ លោកគ្រូសុភាអ្នកគ្រូលីតានិយាយតែខ្ញុំខ្ញុំអត់ទៅដើមនិយាយណាដោយសារអត់ឃើញយើងនិយាយចេះនិយាយចឹងអត់ខ្លាចអត់ឆ្លើយគាត់អីចឹងគាត់និយាយម្នាក់ឯងបាក់ទៀត Hello អ្នកគ្រូលីតា
What did he say? I'm going to
He
check
said,
it. What did he say?
please just me talk. Please just me talk.
Let me talk.
Yeah, they have no idea. They just
Okay. Well,
just
my
let me
friends,
talk.
yeah, my friends, what we'll do, we will close for today. And if teacher Neri ever thinks that I should come back, I will. But at this very moment, I think you are all ready to finish your assessment task 3. And I wish you all the best with that. And I hope that the best people will make a presentation at the NIE, which will be wonderful. And I look forward to all your achievements, and please complete the questionnaire as soon as you can, okay?
Yeah,
It's been lovely working with you, even if most of you are silent. That's all right. We can sort of live with that. It's been very lovely. I love working in Cambodia with Cambodian people.
Okay, thank you for your effort and your contribution to teach us good lessons. We are pretty much grateful for your time, and we are sorry as well if we haven't participates in your class much as you expected, because especially when we were at the high school last 2 months, we've been very busy with teaching, so most of us could not join your class. And so I heard from teacher Nari that if any of us want to study abroad like Australia, we can ask for help from you. What kind of help can you? Information.
Yes. Just 1 second. Lian@cdu.edu.au. Please email me. And the pathway normally to study in Australia is that you'd have to do coursework masters first. So coursework masters, and then research degrees if you ever wanted to. So what's the name of this guy? Hancock or whatever is his name?
Kim Kong.
Yes. So yeah, he can also provide you with information, but basically I'm very happy to create an information session. I might create an information session together with Mr. McNoy, His Excellency Mr. McNoy. We could create an information session. He's the Director General of Higher Education. So yeah, we could do something like that. There are information sessions like this in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh, but we can create one online. So you don't have to travel to Phnom Penh.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
All right, my friends, all the best. I hope
Yeah.
we'll see each other one day again in another project. So I certainly am committed to supporting you in schools if you wish to, and I will do a project in schools as well as soon as I get funding.
Good luck and have a safe trip back to Australia.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been lovely to know you.
Teacher.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.